Hi guys, my name is Stefan and I'm here to show you how to install a Zen hypervisor on the Debian kernel. This is the first video I ever made for the YouTube and is the first video in the series of a video about the Zen hypervisor I'm doing as a part of my 4th year project in university. So let's get started. First thing, what we're gonna use is physical hardware and a virtual software called VirtualBox. So as a physical hardware we have this computer and a laptop. Computer tower will represent as a server which will be fictively sitting in the server room, and laptop will be remotely will be console for remote management. Briefly describe the server. Our computer has a 16 GB of RAM, has a 6-core AMD Phenom, and each core has a 1 thread, as all AMD CPUs does. And in addition, we're gonna have 2 hard drives inside. One is a 64 GB solid state drive where we're gonna put a Zen installation, and a 320 GB ordinary Western Digital 7200 RMP drive where our virtual machines are gonna be deployed. So let's get started. First thing we need to do is download a Debian installation file. So let's go on the main debian.org website, get Debian, click download an installation image, and we're gonna download a small CD. It's a net install disk. It's in the size of roughly 180 megabyte. In my case, I'm using an AMD 64-bit architecture, so click on this link and it pop up the save. Now I already downloaded it, so I'll just show you that it's sitting here on my computer. So let's get started with a VirtualBox. I'm going to use VirtualBox for most of configuration and installations of Zen, and then the final touches will be done on the live installation for demonstration. So let's get started. First thing we need to do is create a new project and type in Debian 64. So as you can see, type and version are automatically changed. You don't have to do it. It's really handy. Zen install 2 just to make sure that it doesn't match with the others I've done. Now we assign a memory to it, which is going to be 8 GB. Now leave it as a default. Format, leave it as default. Dynamically allocated, leave it as a default. Now what we need to do is change the size to 64, as this will represent our 64 GB hard drive in an actual computer. So let's create. So that's it, it's created. Let's change a few settings around. In the system we add extra CPU, so let's say 4. In the display we get a little bit more video memory, and in the storage we're gonna add a second hard drive, which is gonna represent our physical 320 GB drive. So just let's give it 325 will do. And also we need to click on Control ID and add a boot disk to it, which we downloaded from internet, which is netins. Now if you decide to extract this file, for example on a USB stick, and boot it up in your physical machine in a live installation, I recommend you to use Universal USB installer tool. It's a freeware and it's great, never had any issues with it. So additionally we need to change networking to bridge for a moment. Click OK, and that's all what we need. So let's start an installation. Now as you can see, we already booted, so we're gonna do basic installation. I'm gonna select English. My location is Ireland. I'm using British English. So the hostname will be Debian Zen, let's say, call it. I'm going to connect to the domain which I'm already gonna have, which is called comhost.com. Now root password, you need to set it up. It's the highest password, so I set it up. Re-enter the password. Now a new username, let's say an administrator, so we call it Zen admin 1. Then we'll create an account for it. Now we need to create a password for it, so let's do password, confirm the password. And this is very important part where we need to manually adjust our partitioning. So first thing is to open up the internet and let's have a look what Zen recommends. So let's go on the main Zen website, which is zen.org. Let's click on the Zen hypervisor in the products and click on the beginner guide. And here it recommends when you're installing a Zen to use create a boot partition in a size of 200 megabyte. Actually it's saying here 300 megabyte. A root partition of a size of 15 gigabyte minimum, and a swap partition. And the swap partition should be in a 1.5 times amount of your RAM. And then the rest of the space we will reserve for LVM, and this LVM is the management of the disk in Linux, and we will use this to create a space or logical volumes for our virtual machines. So let's leave it at this and create it in our environment. So first hard drive, we're gonna boot it, create the new partition, size of 300 megabyte, which is a 0.3 gigabyte, will be primary, beginning. We will change it to the boot, and in the manual on the main website it says that we should use the extension to filing system, so don't setting up the partition. Now the next one would be create a new one, and 15 gigabyte. I decided to give it 20, so we give it 20, will be also primary, beginning, will be root, extension 3, so just leave it as it is. The mount point, this is the root, it says here, just to show you. Done setting up the partitioning. Now the next one is to create a swap partition, 1.5 times of equal to our RAM. So in our case here we have 8 gigabyte of RAM, so we need a 12 gigabyte swap partition. So let's do swap partition. In the real world you don't need it as a big swap partitions, but it's you have to do your own research about that. It's a personal choice of every person. There are some best practices out there, but that's it. We create it as a primary, beginning, and we change this to actual swap area. Done setting up partitioning, so we have left some extra space if we need in the future to extend it. Now this represents our second hard drive. As we see in Linux we have SDA for a first hard drive, SDB, so it's just follow the letter alphabetic order. So manipulate, and we're going to use all this space. We're going to create a new partition, continue, can be logical, but we'll leave it as a primary, and we're going to reserve for LVM. Done setting up the partitioning. We can configure the LVM here at these configuration settings, but I rather use the command line rather than during the installation. So let's finish the partitioning and save the changes to our disk. So now we're gonna wait till it creates the partitions. And now it's gonna start installing the system. So during this I would like to show you that on the main Zen website we open, There are many manuals you can read, and you can get additional information about it. Using a beginner guide is a good advice at the beginning, and then you will see that a beginning guide is really just for beginners, and for some additional or advanced configuration later on you will use additional manuals which are provided here, how to, and you can select what you need to do. So let's look at how we're getting on. We're almost there. Now we're gonna select a package manager where our Debian will go and get the updates and upgrades. So we are in Ireland. So click, and now you have a different mirrors. So the first one works fine for everyone. So just leave it at that. I'm not using a proxy at the moment. So continue. And now it's gonna go off, retrieve all the packets it requires. As we can see here now, it's selecting and installing a software. Now it asks us if we want to participate in a survey. No. Now this is very important. We don't want a graphical environment, but we want to keep the standard utility system, as it will have a default, let's say, a text editor or text viewer to open. So we just leave it at that and click continue. Now we can see that it will ask us to install the group loader for master boot record. So just leave it as it is, yes, and click hit enter. Now, as you can see, installation complete. That's the kernel, Debian kernel installed. So now we do is we click continue. It will reboot. And here we can see that we have Debian and recovery mode already installed. So let's start with the Debian. Now it asks us for a login, so we're gonna log in as a root. So root, type in your password, which you put in. So as we can see here, that we are root at Debian Zen, but still there is no Zen. So what we need to do is now install Zen packages. To do that, we're gonna use a command which is aptitude install Zen Linux system, and we can just leave it as it is, like this. Hit enter. It will ask you that you want to take more space. We just click, you press Y to accept, and hit enter. Now during this installation, I want to tell you that This is only a part where we're installing a Zen. Zen needs also add extra bits to it, so we're gonna install Zen tools to manage Zen, and also drivers or plugins, in a simple English to say, for virtualization to using HVM, which is a fully virtualized environment, and then there is a para virtualized which comes with Zen tools as a part of it with the Zen installation. So we're getting there slowly. Ignore that fail there because it's just a virtual box OS guest auditions. It's nothing to do with the installation. Now installation of that completed. So now let's clear the screen and install Zen tools. So it's the same aptitude install Zen tools. So it will all again ask you for additional space requirements, so you allow it, and this goes off and download all the Zen tools and necessary packages. Now, and at last we need to install all additional drivers for the fully virtualized environments, like if you want to deploy a Windows. So for that we do command aptitude install Zen QEMU DM. But also again for additional space, so we click yes. Now we have everything installed, so let's reboot the system to see if Zen is there. So we use the command reboot. As we can see here, now that we have a Zen 4.0 version. That's the latest stable release at the moment when I'm doing this video. So the problem here is that we need to make Zen to boot as a priority. So we need to move Zen in the list on the top where is Debian Linux. So let's log in back to Linux. There is a different ways how to do it, so I'm gonna demonstrate you the way I've done it. Ignore the fail messages due to VirtualBox guest utilities fail to load. So let's log in again as a root. Enter a password. And what we now to do is to we need to use this long command to divert it. So I'm gonna type it in. Is a dpkg /divert space and space etc semicolon 08 underscore Linux underscore Zen space rename space /etc Linux Zen. I will provide this command in the description below in the video, and hit enter. And you see there is adding local diversion. Now what we need to do is update a group. And let's reboot. So as we can see now that Zen is on the top of a list and it will be booted as a default operating system. Is in case that your system crash and the system reboots itself, you want the system to boot directly into the Zen. So let's say so we click enter and let to boot in the Zen. You can see already that the Zen created the domain 0. Zen has two domains, domain 0, which is the management domain, where you can install additional apps or anything you really need for managing of Zen. And then there are domain U, which is the domain where you're going to deploy all your guests. So let's log in as a root again and enter the password. It takes Zen will takes all the users you created in the Debian, so even the Zen administrator will work and a root as well. Sorry, I had to put the wrong password. And here we go, and that's all. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it useful, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.